I'm fresh out of the cinema seeing Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, where do I even start with this film? It is insane. It is one of the best films I've seen in a long time. Probably the most fun film I've had at the cinema. Probably the best film I've seen since Dune 2. But, where do I start? I'm gonna go into spoilers. You know, I'm giving you heads up now. Gonna be a lot of spoilers in this. But wow, what a film. Starring Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman reprising their roles as Deadpool and Wolverine respectively. Wow. So the film sees Deadpool go between timelines, I suppose, trying to find the right Wolverine at the start. He finds a Wolverine, and then the TVA get involved. He gets sent to the Void, essentially. He then needs to find his way out of the Void so he can save his universe. But I won't get too far into it. But there's so many names that you guys will recognize in this film. Obviously we've got Tom from Succession as Paradox. Wow, I mean there was just so many guys in. I was surprised to see. Henry Cavill, of course, Gambit, Jennifer Garner as Elektra. Wow, I was so surprised to see Elektra. Super surprised to see Blade. Because we're all aware of Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds' history with each other, which is what made Blade coming into this so good. Because we know historically they two hate each other. But Wesley Snipes coming into this, was on top for Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. Wow, did this surprise me? Because if you've seen the film, and by the time this comes out, by the time this gets clipped and comes out as a video, I'm assuming you all would have seen the film. But when we see Chris Evans come in, I'm like, okay, where's his shield? But then we hear Flame On. I'm like, wow. Wow, wow, wow. And it was just amazing. Sabretooth was in it. He wasn't in it for long. But the thing is with these characters, a lot of them, they don't need to be in it for a long time. Small bursts. Come in. Because ultimately, guys like Sabretooth, Chris Evans, they weren't hugely important to the story. Henry Cavill, they weren't hugely important to the core story of the film. But they're amazing names to have in there. And they're going to pop the crowd. I remember when I seen it, I'm like, wow, what are you doing here? And they get killed off pretty quickly, but that's good. I mean, it helps the pacing of the film. Did it say how long the runtime was? Don't think it says. Let's have a look. Yeah, don't think it doesn't say much about the runtime, but the pacing was good. A lot of these guys, they're in it quickly and they're out. Happy Hogan wasn't a major player in it. He was in it for a bit. You've got Laura back from Logan. She's all grown up now. Definitely preferred her as a kid, but still comes in and plays the role effectively. I really can't fault any of the performances. I think Channing Tatum as Gambit, I always thought was a weird casting. Even when it was originally rumoured to happen after X-Men Origins, Wolverine, I believe he was in that film. I think that was the film he was in. Always thought, no, that wasn't the film he was in. That was the first time we saw Gambit, and then the fan casting was Channing Tatum would be Gambit. After that, I always thought it was just a weird sort of casting. It was just it was a fan casting. Didn't really fit the character though. Didn't really fit the character, but he was in it, and the Gambit fight scenes were cool, as they should be. Gambit, one of my favourites, one of the most underrated characters in the X-Men, in Marvel in general, in my opinion. The main villain of the film, you could say was Mr. Paradox, but it was mostly Cassandra Nova, who is the sister of Charles Xavier. So you can imagine, incredibly powerful mutant, can control minds, can do all sorts of stuff. Destroy your brain. Send you to shadow realms, like crazy stuff, right? So she's probably the main villain. But a film that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I'll be seeing more than once in cinema. So I've just seen the film today, and yeah, the 27th of July. I just first seen this film, but I'll be seeing it again, many many times. I imagine it was such fun, probably the most fun I've had in the cinema ever. I can't do it justice by just talking about it. I can't do it justice. You know, director Sean Levy does an amazing job. Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, and Paul Wernick do an amazing job writing it, and all the actors put in a great performance. I would have loved to see Daredevil, man. I would have loved to see Ben Affleck's Daredevil because they do reference him. There was two people I wanted to see. Once I'd seen they're bringing back Elektra, Blade, Gambit, Johnny Storm. I'm like, there's two guys other than these guys that I want to see. I want to see Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. Those were the two guys I wanted to see, other than these guys. Didn't happen, unfortunately, but nothing wrong with that. It was a great film, a great time. Like I said before, I'll be rewatching this many, many times. Comedy lands regularly. It really found the right balance. I mean, it didn't really find the right balance. It is largely, mostly comedy. Plenty of action, plenty of gore, great music. The opening credit scene, absolutely amazing. You know, probably one of the best I've seen. You know, probably in terms of superhero movies and the way they're scored, it's probably maybe better than Guardians. You know, maybe better than Guardians, but up there with Guardians. You know, great music, great fits. You know, all of the music really does fit well with the sort of tone they're going with. You know, the fourth wall breaking, the jokes, the self-deprecating humour, and that really does land. But that's because that's what we're used to from Deadpool. Also, it's very fitting for the franchise. It's not like Thor 4, where you're really heavily leaning on the comedy and self-deprecating, and you're just turning Thor into a joke. Deadpool always has been that sort of jokey character, in terms of what we've seen on the big screen and in comics historically as well. He's always been that sort of jokey character. And it was where do I even go with this? You know, an amazing film. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Oh yes, the runtime, 2 hours 7 minutes, felt like a breeze. 2 hours 7 minutes. So it's definitely getting rewatched many times. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is getting watched many times because at 2 hours, that's nothing nowadays for a film. 2 hours is nothing. Would be super interested to see what this does at the box office. The first two Deadpool films done really well considering their budgets. I imagine this one will have a huge budget considering the amount of people they've brought back for this film. Hugh Jackman, Wesley Snipes, Evans, Cavill. I imagine Tatum. I imagine a lot of these guys will not be cheap to have in a film. But let's see what happens. I mean, spoilers. I said there's gonna be spoilers, but Deadpool and Wolverine, they both survive at the end. So I'd be super interested to see what they do. If these guys are gonna stay in the film, stay in the franchise. If we're gonna see sequels, if we're gonna see these two in an Avengers film, in an X-Men film. Crazy film, and I'm super excited to see what they've got next. Could this be the revival of the MCU? Who knows? Because they've been on a slump. They've had a lot of bad films, a lot of boring films, a lot of lackluster films. The MCU could be onto something that can revive their entire franchise, but I don't know, because there's no point. Okay, so this can't revive the franchise if this is just a standalone. If they make this film, makes loads of money, and they continue and build off this, then yeah, this can revive it. But only if there are major changes. But this film can't revive. No one film can revive a franchise. It takes more than one film. It takes 2, 3, 4 films to revive a universe like this. Because the MCU is so vast. Having just one great film will not revive it. It will provide a boost, and the next Marvel film that comes out will probably do a lot better than they would have done if it wasn't released after Deadpool and Wolverine, without a doubt. But I'm not sure if that technically saves. I'm not sure if that saves a whole universe. the whole cinematic universe. But let's see what happens with Deadpool and Wolverine. It was a lot of fun. Definitely recommend it. Let me know, guys, what you thought of the film when you watched it. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was too much comedy? Did you? Yeah, will you be watching it again? Have you seen it in the first place? I suppose is the main question. If you haven't seen it, are you planning on watching it? But yeah, I'd be super interested to know what you guys thought of it. Let me know what you guys thought. Let's